model ship. We've all seen those in museums before and in books, but usually they're in the context of maritime displays or maritime shops. But I think that's a bit of a shame, because we're seeing them really out of context, because they were made by people who were members of a family, and these people who made the models went to sea for a purpose. And the background to this is that in Shetland in the 19th century, people had a need for income to buy things for the home, like the clock that's ticking away behind me just now, or the teapot that sits next to it. And for that reason, many Shetlanders went to sea in the 19th century. It's also the era when the British Empire is the biggest in the world, and there's a need for merchant shipping and seamen to crew on these boats. That's why so many Shetlanders went on boats like this. And in their spare time, many of these men of a creative bent were able to pursue various hobby tasks that they took home with them. Maybe rope work, and they might make maybe fancy chest handles, or say beaters for flails for thrashing grain. And in cases like this, they made a model ship on board their ship whilst they were at sea, perhaps over several trips, maybe not even on the same ship, and ultimately the thing came home to decorate the home. These things weren't made to live on a ship, they were made on a ship but to decorate a home. So this is where you should be seeing it, as in a home. And they typically, these old Shetland ones, have a case with a painted backdrop, sometimes just with sky, sometimes with land too, with a plaster sea, and a wooden back which is slanted at the top. That's because they were usually hung under the eaves like this, so it helps them fit into the space. And often with the model ships, although not with this one, often the model ships made by merchant seamen have quite exaggeratedly tall masts, and this is because the early models like this one, they were made before the era of photography, so men were, generally speaking, they were only able to get their visual prompts for doing their model of the ship from being on the ship, and their work on the ship mostly involved going up and down the mast, looking up the mast from down, or down the mast from up. So your impression of the ship was one of much increased height than it maybe actually had in proportion to its length. So that's an interesting aspect of some of these old model ships.